We have 3 dogs. We have Seattle, Denali, and Phantom. Phantom is the one we were using the machine with. And Seattle is the alpha dog. So we were concerned that she would interfere when he was getting the treats or make it so that he didn't want to go to the machine and get the treats. In the beginning, we kept them out of the room. Then when we were working on distractions, we brought the other dogs in. The other dogs pretty much just let him do his thing.
And the other 2 dogs wouldn't go to the machine and lie down. If anything, Seattle would kind of hover around it on the back side or something and, kind of growl a little bit as if it was hers. But, once Phantom went over to it, it was never a problem.
Yeah.
Recommended daily practice, 2 15-minute sessions. Watch this entire segment, including the troubleshooting, before you start this training. In this section, we'll first teach your dog to eat kibble or treats out of the Treat&Train bowl. Then we'll teach him through classical conditioning that the tone means a treat's coming. Once we train this association, we'll use the tone to tell your dog when he's done something right. The tone will mark the correct behavior, and it'll immediately be followed by a food reward. This means that even before we start, you'll need to practice activating the tone at the right time, or you'll reward your dog for all kinds of odd behaviors. So we'll start with a timing exercise. It's best if all dogs are out of the room for this exercise, or they may learn that the tone means nothing. Once dogs are out of earshot, turn the power on and set the volume. Ignore the other settings for now. We don't need the other functions for several chapters. Then go ahead and press the remote a few times to ensure that you're comfortable with the feel. Make sure you press dispense. If you accidentally press the downstay button, this light will activate on the machine. Just hit the downstay button again to turn it off. Next, let's see if you can tone and treat as this tennis ball is landing. If your timing's right, you should hear the tone sound right as the ball hits the ground. Oh yeah, just so you know, it's nerdy to point the remote at the machine like so. Be as inconspicuous as possible when using the remote so that you don't give any extraneous signals. This remote works on radio signals, so it can face any direction, and you can even be as far as 100 feet away. If you have the tennis ball exercise down, see if you can tone and treat when this dog's nose touches the target.
Target. Target. Target. Target.
Good. Now that we're up to speed on your end, we're ready to get your dog started. If you need more practice, just rewind and try again. Next, place treats by hand into the Treat&Train bowl to attract your dog to the bowl. When he eats them, add more. Note that throughout this DVD, we'll refer to the food rewards as treats. As much as possible, these treats should be your dog's regular kibble, but you can also use foods that are sold as treats. When your dog's comfortable, you can go to the next step. In this step, we'll activate the remote so that the Treat&Train dispenses treats. First, turn the volume off, because some dogs are nervous about the new sound. Then, dispense a treat, wait for your dog to get the treat, and then repeat. Many Many dogs look at their owners or away from the treat and train, but orient to the sound of the treat and train and then see the treat coming out. If your dog doesn't orient, either point the treat out or make sure he's looking at the treat and train when you dispense the treat. When your dog's comfortable getting treats this way, go to step 3. Also, on days when you don't even have 2 to 3 minutes for training, you can just feed your dog out of the treat and train bowl, since you've probably stored your old dog food bowl away. In this step, we'll add the tone. Start with the volume on low, since some dogs are afraid of new loud sounds. Now when you activate the remote, your dog should orient to the tone and then get his treat. If he doesn't orient to the sound, you can always point the treat out or make sure he's looking at the treat and train when you tone and treat. Of course, the most important factor in all of this training is that your dog is hungry and he likes the food that you're using. Some dogs are suspicious of this new food bowl once it starts emitting a tone, or even in the earlier stage. If your dog's a little fearful, go back to placing treats in the bowl by hand or pointing the treat out. You may even need to make a food trail leading up to the bowl until your dog readily eats from the bowl. Use the most tempting treats you have during this stage of training if your dog's afraid of the treat and train. Before long, your dog will be eating out of the treat and train as if it's his regular food bowl. Here's another dog who's initially startled by the tone. Because she's praise motivated, I use praise to speed up the process. Like the previous dog, Maya, this dog too catches on quickly. Most dogs that are hungry and that are in a comfortable situation learn very quickly. For those dogs who are especially timid, you can just feed them regularly out of the treat and train bowl for a few days before you proceed with this and the next steps. You can go on to the next step when your dog responds consistently to the tone by getting his treat. For the purpose of this DVD, we'll usually define consistent as 9 out of 10 correct responses in a row. Now we'll work on teaching your dog to pay attention to you by giving you eye contact. This step is important for teaching your dog to focus on you rather than becoming overly engrossed in the treat and train like my dog Zoe is demonstrating here by staring. It's also important for confirming that your dog knows the tone and treat association. Some dogs automatically look at their owners for reassurance between treats or because they know who's controlling the treat dispensing. If your dog already automatically looks at you, make sure you reward him by toning and treating when he looks at you. If he doesn't automatically look at you, you can get his attention by making a smooching sound, and when he looks, tone and treat. If your dog passed step 3, he should immediately get the treat when he hears the tone, like this dog is doing. Repeat this step until your dog is consistent. Some dogs don't look when you smooch. If smooching doesn't work after several tries, don't continue smooching like so, or you'll either teach your dog to ignore the smooch, or your dog will teach you to smooch 3 to 4 times to get his attention. Instead of smooching, give your dog treats by hand several times in a row, and then when he looks at you expecting another morsel of food, tone and treat. Do this a few more times and you'll no longer need to give him treats by hand to get his attention. Stand in several different locations when you practice this step, and make sure your dog stays fairly close to the treat and train during this step, since we'll wait until the next step to add distance. When your dog consistently looks at you and then immediately goes to get his treat upon hearing the tone, and he can do this when you're standing in at least 2 different locations, then go to step 5.
If you're using the manners minder to train your dog to perform a calm, quiet downstay, and you don't mind physically guiding him to his rug or omitting the fun targeting game, you can skip step 5, as well as stage 2 of training, and instead go directly to stage 3, the downstay. If you do this, then during the downstay stage, you'll have to put a leash on your dog so that you can guide him off the rug instead of targeting him off between trials.
To ensure that your dog's response to the tone is strong enough for the later stages of training, we'll build up distance next. First, move 3 to 5 feet away from the treat and train, and if your dog follows you, tone and treat. If he stays near the treat and train, lure him away by giving a treat by hand, and then tone and treat when he's standing close to you. If your dog has passed step 4, he should immediately walk or run to get his treat when he hears the tone. Repeat this step until your dog consistently responds to the tone from 5 feet away. He should immediately run to get his treat 9 out of 10 times in a row before you go on to the next stage of training. You can tell that this dog, Callie, skipped a step because when she hears the tone, she sometimes just stands or sits stationary rather than going to get the treat, even though she's motivated by these treats. When your dog knows the tone-treat association well, you should even be able to play with him and then suddenly stand stationary while simultaneously activating the tone. You can tell that this dog knows the tone-treat association well and is motivated by the food reward in the treat and train. Now we can use the tone to mark the other correct behaviors that we'll be training in this program. The tone will bridge the gap between the correct behavior and the food reinforcement. A few more things before you actually start training. First, make sure you don't accidentally reward pawing the treat and train like I'm doing here with Zoe. Note that I'm timing the treats to occur as or soon after she paws. You'll know when you've accidentally rewarded this behavior because your dog may look like this. To fix this behavior, give several treats by hand to take your dog's focus off the treat and train, and then activate the tone and treat when he's focused on you and has all 4 feet planted on the floor. Make sure you're facing a direction where he can still see treats dispensing from the machine. Repeat this pattern several times and then start treating from the machine before your dog has a chance to paw again. Gradually increase the amount of time he stands stationary with all 4 feet on the floor, always making sure you reward him before he starts pawing again. Once he consistently waits with all 4 feet on the floor to get his treat, you can move on to the next step. Similarly, make sure you don't tone and treat as your dog barks or immediately after he finishes barking, like I'm doing here with Miggy, or you'll get a dog that barks all the time. To fix or avoid this behavior, wait until your dog's quiet before giving the treat. Again, you can give a few treats by hand to take the focus off the treat and train. Then hurry up and tone and treat while your dog's quiet and before he starts barking again. Systematically expect him to be quiet for longer periods of time before giving him a treat, or give him several treats in a row when he's quiet and before he has a chance to bark again. By doing so, you'll be extending the moments of quiet and decreasing the bouts of barking. Some dogs will work for the familiar interaction they get when you give treats by hand, but are slow to learn to take treats from the treat and train. If this is your dog after several sessions, temporarily switch to a higher value treat. Now that you've watched this entire chapter, you're ready to get started. Review each step again right before you start, and don't be afraid to watch sections over if you're unsure about what to do. Also, remember to put the treat and train machine away when you're not using it, so that your dog learns that the presence of the treat and train signals his special chance to earn treats.